The plight of women and children in Gaza is immeasurable, it's catastrophic. Every single minute signifies the death and destruction and agony of our people. Here for condolences, we're not here for apologies, we're here for immediate action. Dr. Rula El-Farra. I'm a Palestinian American physician from Houston, Texas. My father was born in Khan Yunis and my mother in the city of Gaza. The El-Farra family is one of the largest families in Khan Yunis with over 12,000 family members, and we have been living in Gaza for centuries. It's the 7th of October. My family members, over 150 of them, have been murdered by Israel's brutal assault on Gaza, either by Israeli bombardment, snipers, or the cruel and ruthless denial of humanitarian aid, with no access to clean water, with food, equitable healthcare services. Thousands more have been tormented with horrific injuries, forced starvation, trauma and displacement to evacuation camps, and catastrophic living conditions. It is difficult to express this agony in just a few minutes, but I will share some stories with you. First, there have been multiple violent, multi-generational massacres of family units in the El-Farra family. In late October, two brothers, Aziz and Hatem, for example, were sheltering with their families, their wives and their children. Their home was hit by an Israeli airstrike. The entire family, 14 family members, were killed. They were survived by 10-year-old Hamza. Hamza was taken to a nearby hospital. He was operated on. Here's a picture of Hamza and his two siblings. His two siblings, young siblings, had died during this massacre. Hamza was operated on. He spent a few days in agonizing pain due to shortages of pain medication. He was crying incessantly for his parents, who were deceased, and his siblings. Hamza succumbed to his injuries just a few days later. Second, there's been relentless, indiscriminate bombing of Gaza that has destroyed the homes of virtually all of my family members. They've been displaced to Rafah to live in camps and homes that are overcrowded and in the worst inhumane conditions. In December, one of our family members, Sabri El-Farra, was murdered in his home by an Israeli airstrike with his 9 young children. His unfortunate wife survived. She was 8 months pregnant. She was displaced to an evacuation camp where she gave birth to her baby boy 1 month later in January, whom she named after her deceased husband. She gave birth with no electricity, with no clean water, with no access to any medical care. Her child, her newborn infant, died 20 days later from the cold and the harsh conditions in the camps. Third, the plight of women and children in Gaza is immeasurable, it's catastrophic. I've had a relative who put a Facebook message stating that a woman down the street from her had just given birth to her newborn baby on the rubble of her destroyed home, and asking if anyone else in the family could help her with supplies and clothing for the newborn. There is a viral post of my cousin, the beautiful 6-year-old Sana El-Farra. Here she is. This went viral because she was murdered in her home by an Israeli airstrike. Here she is in her princess dress, which of course many of you could relate to because many of you may have daughters with pictures of in their princess dress. These are my 2 daughters who were born in Houston, Texas. I ask you how they are any different and why Sana had to be subjected to such horror. Fourth, we've been subjected to the most inhumane denial of access to basic humanitarian needs. Families have texted that we've been sleeping without food for more than 24 hours at a time. They have not seen flour, meat, vegetables, fruits for 5 months now. They are using an animal feed for bread. Water is recycled. We've had a family who was contaminated with hepatitis A last week from unclean water. My cousin, 12-year-old Abdurrahim El-Farra, who was evacuated to a camp, was walking to the restroom, the only restroom available to thousands of people in the camp, with his grandfather when he was hit by an Israeli missile. He was taken by ambulance, but there was no hospital that was functional near enough to save him. So he died from the inability to access medical care. My other cousin in her 30s, who suffers from chronic kidney disease, died because she could not access her dialysis treatments. So I would like to point to you, finally, the severe and unfathomable psychological and emotional trauma that the family has been subjected to. Children have been orphaned, parents have lost all of their children. I have cousins who have texted that they've witnessed their mothers' dead bodies half buried in the rubble, their sisters shredded to pieces, and family members have lost sight of their children and other family members and have no way of communicating or knowing if they're okay. So finally, I would like to say that just 3 days ago, our first cousin, Suhaib Hussam Al-Farra, and his family, 16 people were massacred in Rafah in the home that they had escaped to. 2 weeks ago, in the United Nations, there was a critical opportunity to call for a ceasefire that could have saved the lives. This week alone, we've lost 20 family members to the brutal murder of this brutal assault from Israel. So we ask, every single minute counts. Every single minute signifies the death and destruction and agony of our people. We ask for a permanent ceasefire and a permanent solution to the people of Palestine so that we may preserve our dignity and be ensured our rights to self-discrimination, freedom, and justice. Thank you. We understand, but again, today none of us are here for condolences. We're not here for apologies. We're here for immediate action. We have demonstrated that every minute signifies the loss of a life, the starvation of a child, and so we need an immediate and permanent, not temporary, permanent ceasefire now.
Stay with the Times of India for news breaks, analysis, interviews and events. We bring you stories from your neighborhood and from across the globe as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like button and press the bell icon so you don't miss any of our videos.